Part 127. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 1269. Soon after Xin committed suicide, Li Shao committed suicide by taking cyanide. At that time, Mu Zi had just arrived at the scene of Xin's suicide, and upon hearing the news, she couldn't recover for a long time. She remembered that when Xin left, she gently helped Li Shao tuck the quilt. It turned out that the cyanide had already been hidden in it at that time. Xin came prepared. She pleaded guilty to the law, but she didn't intend to accept legal punishment. Instead, she used another extreme method to bring the whole matter to an end. Chu Mingjun couldn't figure it out, and when everyone got together afterwards, he sighed, "It's better to live than to die, why do they bother?" His assistant lawyer said, "They used to play suicide in a group. It's normal for them to commit suicide. This kind of suicide group is also very popular now. The jargon is to form a group and go on the road without being alone." Chu Mingjun was speechless. What a mess. Mu Zi was not feeling well either. She has heard of such groups before. Most of them are people who are unhappy in life. At first, it may be to keep warm, but negative energy does not necessarily have to be positive. Tendency to be depressed, and eventually produce world-weary emotions, seeking relief. Some people meet to commit suicide by jumping off a building, some people meet to swallow sleeping pills, and some people meet to commit suicide by burning charcoal in a closed room. Maybe because the members of the Rose Covenant group are all women, so it is more delicate and more ceremonial. What they pursue is not pure suicide, but, since we cannot be together in life, we choose to be together after death. After the case was over, Ge Feng was acquitted and left Pinja Jewelry Company. And the girl Li Shao gave birth to was adopted by the Li family. Li Shao's parents never admit that their daughter is gay. They think that Li Shao is ignorant of the world and has been deluded by bad guys. In any case, things finally settled down. After the media publicity, Mingjun law firm became even more famous. Mu Zi was always depressed. There is neither the joy of fighting criminals nor the pride of justice. Originally planned to have a reunion with King Jiang's friends after the incident, but Mu Zi was really not in the mood, so she packed her luggage and returned to Xianghai City with her children. After returning to the family, there is a feeling of being healed. Mu Zi didn't talk about Qing Jiang's case with anyone. She spent every day with her children, took care of her pets, and occasionally tried Bai Wei's new dishes from cooking class. She lived a peaceful and comfortable life. Murong Cheng was busier than her, and Sidu Yan called him every few days, asking him to prepare for running for governor. But Murong Chenzi is not here. He ran for mayor at the beginning just for the sake of appearance, and he is at ease in Xianghai City, and now he just wants to sneak in and don't want to cause trouble for himself. In the blink of an eye, it was November, and Murong Cheng booked out the largest restaurant in Xianghai City to celebrate his twin sons' birthdays. Mu Jiaming and Mu Huijin are already 2 years old. When the two little ones were 1 year old, there was no big deal, because at that time Mu Zi was just pregnant with Mu Jiaoqiao, and she had a severe morning sickness reaction. Murong Cheng was so focused on his wife that he didn't care about his son's birthday. Mu Zi, a mother, was tortured to death by pregnancy reactions, and forgot her son's birthday. Only Bai Wei remembered this and made 2 bowls of longevity noodles for Dabao and Xiaobao. This time Murong Cheng made a big fuss for his son's second birthday, which is probably a way of making up for it. On the day of the birthday party, Mu Zi changed into new clothes for the 2 little birthday stars. Their 2 chubby little round faces were like 2 happy dumplings. Mu Zi's heart was about to be melted by her own son. As she kissed her, her eyes were filled with happiness. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 1270. Life is very different after having children. In the past, no matter where the husband and wife went, they would hold hands, you and me. Now it is a large group of people. 3 children are equipped with 3 nannies, and they also need to bring baby carriages, water bottles, diapers, change of clothes, and peripheral bodyguards. It is always quite spectacular to travel. When they arrived at the place, they had no time to be idle, they continued to entertain guests, and after a while Muzi was exhausted. Murong Cheng took her to the side to rest, handed her a cup of warm corn juice, and said amusedly, "Why are you so tired? Others don't know, maybe they thought you worked too hard last night." Muzi glared at him angrily. Murong Cheng is leisurely, he has always taken the cold and arrogant route, and dare not approach idlers, unlike Muzi and Feng Xiao. Wives and ladies love to come and make friends. Of course, she can also put on a show like Murong Cheng, but a husband and wife are one is strong and the other is soft, there is always a need for someone to show a friendly side. Murong Cheng patted her on the back lightly, "Go play with your friends, Wang Zhan will take care of you here." "That child. There is a nanny." Muzi thought that Zhang Xinyuan and Zhuang Jia had come all the way, and before she could bother to say hello, she went over with corn juice. Because it was for children's birthdays, a lot of ribbon balloons were arranged in the banquet venue, waiters dressed in cartoon doll clothes shuttled among them, and there were also magic clowns. Many guests brought their own children, and the scene was very lively. On the long table in the center of the banquet, there is a long cake in the shape of a train. The bottom tray has wheels, and it slides slowly along the track following the music. "How long do you think the train is?" Zhuang Jia stared at the train cake and said to Zhang Xinyuan beside him, "I guess it's more than 10 meters long. Tell me, can such a long cake apply for the Guinness World Record?" Zhang Xinyuan thought for a while, turned on his mobile phone to search, and replied, "The longest cake is 3,118 meters. Zhuang Jia's eyes widened. "But it's definitely not as delicious as this," Zhang Xinyuan said with a smile. Zhuang Jia lingered on the train cake, thinking seriously, "I want to try the number 12 car, number 8 is chocolate flavored, it should be good too, eh? Why is number 8 car gone?" When she was surprised, a child with a mouthful of chocolate ran past her. "Zhuang Jia." Zhang Jinuan was overjoyed, and said with a smile, "Hurry up and start, there are a lot of children here today, don't wait for the number 12 car to be gone." Zhuang Jia said with a heartache, "It's not because I'm greedy, I haven't taken a picture yet." She stuffed her mobile phone into Zhang Xinyuan's hand and urged, "Hurry up and take a picture of me and the train. Do you want to take a picture of the locomotive?" "Of course." Muzi strolled over and saw that the two were taking pictures, so she also came to join in the fun, and called the waiter to take a group photo for the 3 of them. While taking pictures, the train lost several sections. Zhuang Jia quit, and quickly cut a piece from the 12th car and put it on his plate. Muzi teased her, "As for what, grab food from the children. My mother said that as long as you are not married, you are considered a child." Zhuang Jia said, "How can I compare with you, one already has a family and a son, and the other has half a foot into the gate of the marriage palace, it is just a child, I'm left alone." Zhang Xinyuan asked, "Aren't you on a blind date? Have you found someone who will close your eyes?" "Don't mention it," Zhuang Jia sighed, "it's hard to say." While chatting, a slightly restless human voice came from my ear. They searched for their reputation, and not far away, Bai Wei appeared in everyone's sight with a man on her arm. The 2 of them are not young, but they look extremely seductive. No matter in appearance or temperament, they are a match made in heaven. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 1271. Muzi I was slightly taken aback. She knew that Bai Wei would bring her boyfriend over today, but she was still surprised when she suddenly saw a living person. Eat first, I'll go over and have a look. Muzi I greeted her two good friends, and walked towards Bai Wei. Zhuangjie looked into the distance and muttered in a sour voice, even Aunt Bai has a companion. What's wrong with Aunt Bai? Zhang Xinyuan smiled and bumped Zhuangjie with his elbow. Do you think Aunt Bai is old enough to have no market? She is in good condition, gentle and beautiful, considerate, good at cooking, and good-natured, and no nursing and medicinal diet. After hearing this, Zhuangjie felt even more uncomfortable. Gentle, nothing to do with her. Beautiful, think about the way I wake up every day without wiping off my gums. Cooking skills, she can make dozens of different instant noodles. As for nursing and medicinal diet, well, don't continue to humiliate yourself. But your biggest problem is heterophobia. Zhang Xinyuan asked her seriously, didn't you go on a blind date before? Does that work? Why did you mention blind date again? Zhuangjie really didn't want to talk about it. Wang Zilong said that you were so scared because of your illness. If you have a chance, I can invite you to sit in their police force. He will introduce you to his teammates one by one. You must not be afraid of the police, right? Zhang Xinyuan said half-jokingly, I think you can marry a policeman in the future, or a judge, or a prosecutor. They are all good choices. Don't worry about your lover being a perverted murderer. Zhuangjie turned her face away, holding the spoon in her hand, unconsciously stirring the cake on the plate. Zhang Xinyuan gave her a strange look, and asked suspiciously, why are you blushing? Ah! Is there? Zhuangjie's eyes flustered, is it blush? You misread it. Zhang Xinyuan felt even weirder, and tilted his head to look carefully at Zhuangjie. This is really rare, and the heartless Miss Zhuang will actually blush one day. Zhang Xinyuan stared at her and asked, are you? When will you and Wang Zilong get married? Before he finished speaking, he was interrupted by Zhuangjie. I remember you two had an awkward fight last time, how did you get back together? Zhuangjie forcibly changed the subject. Zhang Xinyuan was slightly taken aback, the time I raped him. Zhuangjie didn't expect Zhang Xinyuan to be so straightforward, she was a little embarrassed, and mourned for Wang Zilong in her heart. Once a good girl becomes rebellious, it will be unimaginably terrifying. I misunderstood him and thought he didn't like me. Zhang Xinyuan frowned and said, he was always talking and laughing with other girls, and when he came to me, he was like a boring gourd, not talking, he didn't laugh too much. When we went out on a date, he even held hands with me in a sneaky way. When there were outsiders around, he immediately moved away from me. I was really angry at the time, that's why. Speaking of this, probably because he felt that he had done something wrong, Zhang Xinyuan asked Zhuangjie uncertainly, am I going too far? Zhuangjie looked at her, hesitated, and finally asked a completely irrelevant question, do it hurt? It hurts. Zhang Xinyuan nodded, afterwards he thought I was drugged to play so crazy, so he insisted on taking me to the hospital for an examination. Zhuangjie opened his mouth wide in astonishment, dumbfounded. After a long time, she finally found her voice, then he must really love you, and he is worried about your body after being raped. Zhang Xinyuan let out a long sigh, but now we are back to the original point. How? It's still the same. You can hook up with other women and call them brothers and sisters, but as long as you come to me, you will become a moralist. The tradition is too conservative. Zhuangjie comforted Zhang Xinyuan, Wang Zilong is afraid of scaring you. You have always been a ladylike image. He is worried that if you let go too much, you will hate me. I know. Zhang Xinyuan frowned deeply, I didn't know it before, but now I probably know how to do it. How to do it? Him a few more times. Zhang Xinyuan said. Zhuangjie. Terrible. Terrible. I'm very sorry, today, I got lost, only 3 chapters. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Hua Liao. Chapter 1272. After the birthday party, Zhuang Jie and Zhang Xinyuan played in Xianghai for a few more days, and returned to Qingjiang on Saturday. As soon as they got out of the airport, they saw Wang Zilong looking around at the arrival gate and waving at them. Wang Zilong came to pick up Zhang Xinyuan. He received someone, took the suitcase and handbag from Zhang Xinyuan, walked all the way in front, then went to the parking lot, opened the car door for the ladies, put the suitcase into the rear compartment, and sat in the driver's seat as the driver. Zhuang Jie watched silently from the side. This guy was really, as Zhang Xinyuan said, very well behaved. When Murong Cheng and Mu Ziyi were together, not to mention the relatively open behavior of kissing and cuddling, they would occasionally put a shoulder on their shoulders, brush their hair, touch their cheeks, hold hands, and so on. But Wang Zilong doesn't touch Zhang Xinyuan at all. It's really in heat, it's just about ritual, not to mention the exaggeration of 8 feet away, but there must be a distance of tens of centimeters. Zhang Xinyuan raised his eyebrows slightly, and gave Zhuang Jie a look, as if to say, "Look, am I right?" Zhuang Jie nodded approvingly. At the end, she whispered, "Actually, that's fine too. Watching Mu Ziyi and her husband spread dog food in Xianghai is enough. If I see you showing affection on the way back, will I still be alive?" Zhang Xinyuan smiled, leaned forward with his upper body, leaned close to Wang Zilong's cheek, bit his earlobe lightly without warning, and licked it. Zhuang Jie's eyes widened, startled by Zhang Xinyuan's bold actions. But Wang Zilong didn't move at all, only his face turned red at a visible speed. It seems that Wang Zilong is used to it. But Zhuang Jie was not used to it, so she stretched out her hand and dragged Zhang Xinyuan back. "You let him drive well, hey?" Zhang Xinyuan covered his mouth and kept laughing. "If you keep doing this, I'll..." Zhuang Jie took a deep breath, "I'll take a taxi back. It's crazy, the whole world is bullying her to be alone, so desolate." "Okay, don't be angry," Zhang Xinyuan said with a smile, "I was just kidding with him." "Driving? Can you mess around while driving?" Zhuang Jie said, "When I leave, you can do whatever you want in the car." Snapped. Zhang Xinyuan slapped Zhuang Jie on the shoulder, blushing, "What nonsense are you talking about? Why are your hands so strong?" Zhuang Jie yelled in pain, covering her shoulders, "I blame me for talking nonsense if I think crookedly." "Jinuan, you have changed." Zhang Xinyuan smiled, glanced at the straight-backed Wang Zilong in front of him, and said meaningfully, "It's not a change, it's a face-to-face with your true self. If you dislike me, it means that you don't really treat me as a friend." Wang Zilong drove silently. "Zhuang Jie, tisk tisk, tisk tisk." She seems to have seen the future of Wang Zilong. Zhuang Jie returned home by car and found that there was no one in the house, and she was the only one left. Her mother, Shenzhen, flies around all the year round, and now she can't tell which latitude and longitude line of the earth she is on. I poured myself a glass of water first, and saw the note left by Shenzhen on the refrigerator sticker, which said, "Don't forget to go on a blind date." Zhuang Jie pouted, tore off the post-it note, and threw it into the waste basket. Going to the bathroom to take a bath to relieve the exhaustion from the exhaustion of the cars and horses, she lay on the edge of the bathtub and dialed her mobile phone, counting the list of blind dates sent to her by Shenzhen, which had already accumulated dozens of people. A well-known designer like Shenzhen has a wide network of contacts. He knows many designers, models, photographers, directors, celebrities, and countless wealthy wives, boss wives. A handsome young man of the same age. Shenzhen does not expect Zhuang Jie to find her future husband through blind dates, but hopes that Zhuangjie can at least overcome her psychological barriers and become friends with these young people. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Hua Liao. Chapter 1273. If you want to take the road of design, it is not enough to draw design drafts alone, Zhuangjie must learn to socialize. In this regard, Zhuangjie did a good job in the past, but after she fell ill, she became more and more resistant to contact with the opposite sex. Zhuangjie flicked the phone screen boredly, but the pictures of men in it couldn't arouse her interest. She couldn't help but think of Yu Yang's call more than a month ago. He asked himself, blind date at night. How did she answer at that time? No, no more blind dates. Already aware of the subtle heartbeat, how can I have the nerve to go on a blind date with another man? Later. Later. No later. Yu Yang said, take a good rest, I will ask you out again some other day. This should be just a polite remark, because for more than a month later, Yu Yang never made a phone call or sent a message. He was originally a person from two worlds, there was no intersection, no topics to talk about, and I saw his name in the address book a few times, and I wanted to say hello, but it was too abrupt. Zhuangjie turned off her phone angrily, thinking how stupid she was. If I knew this would happen, I should have answered go on a blind date at that time. At least in this way, I can still have an excuse to invite him to accompany me on a blind date. Ugh. She sighed in her heart, feeling that she made a wrong step, every step was wrong. Having said that, the fact that he hasn't contacted me for such a long time is enough to show that he probably has no interest in me, right? If you take the initiative to post it, it will be disgusting, forget it. Forget it. On Sunday, Zhuangjie stayed at home to draw design drafts. She had nothing to do in the afternoon. Looking at herself in the mirror, she was a little haggard, so she went to the beauty salon for skincare. The beautician who massaged her face would praise her for her beautiful mouth shape and her skin quality for a while. Zhuangjie was not surprised, and lay expressionlessly on the beauty bed. Never pretend to be affectionate and think that the other party is sincerely praising her. This is just a way of sales promotion, and it is estimated that it will be time to introduce new products later. Sure enough, the beautician said that Zhuangjie had dark circles under her eyes, so she could try a new eye cream from their store, and the effect was very good. Zhuangjie is a VIP member in the store and can try out new products for free. Just try it. She drew design drafts until 2 o'clock at night last night, and she did stay up all night. The beautician massaged her eye skin and said with a smile, after finishing this set, you will become more beautiful, but this is not the best beauty product. Zhuangjie closed her eyes and said to herself, it's almost enough, don't be endless. The beautician said, love is the best beauty product in the world. A woman in love can look radiant without any cosmetics. Zhuangjie. After being silent for a while, she asked, if it's unrequited love that ends without a cause, wouldn't it be equivalent to disfigurement? Beautician, he, you are so humorous. Who is humorous with you? I am sad. The next day was Monday, and Zhuangjie went to work in the company with a radiant face. Facts have proved that going to a beauty salon to clean up this face is still useful. Although I don't know how beautiful love can make a woman, but she has looked in the mirror, and the new eye cream is really good, and the dark circles are no longer visible. Up. The company is owned by her mother, Lanwei Fashion Design Co., Limited, which specializes in women's clothing, and also makes shoes and bags. In recent years, because of Zhuangjie's joining, the company has started to set foot in jewelry design. There are complete sets of jewelry specially designed for clothing, and some single products will be launched every season, and Zhuangjie is responsible for the style control. Having a capable mother saved Zhuangjie a lot of trouble in his career. I had a few meetings with the heads of various departments, and before I knew it, It was 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The assistant came in and said to her, "There is a Mr. Yu outside who said he had an appointment with you. Can you let him in?" "Just say that I'm not at the company." Zhuang Jie thought for a while, and added, "Tell him, I'm going to see a psychiatrist, and I'll make an appointment another day when I'm free." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Hua Liao. Chapter 1274. In all likelihood, this person is the blind date introduced by Shenzhen Ruo. However, Zhuang Jie really didn't plan to go on a blind date. Directly refusing seems a bit offending. It is better to tell the other party tactfully that I am sick. Shouldn't we know the difficulty and retreat now? Besides, she didn't lie, she was going to see a psychiatrist today. Once a week, several courses of treatment, although no curative effect has been seen so far, but I really relieve stress. It is good for physical and mental health to take out the psychological garbage. Zhuang Jie guessed that he would be fine in the afternoon, so he picked up his bag and left work early. She came to the psychological clinic a lot, and she was as familiar as her own home. Zhuang Jie walked into the doctor's psychological consultation room familiarly, lay down on the sofa chair, and let out a long breath of comfort. "How are you doing recently?" Dr. Zhang dug out Zhuang Jie's medical records and began to record. "Did getting along with different men relieve your fear of the opposite sex?" "I don't have a blind date anymore." Zhuang Jie frowned. Dr. Zhang buried his head and continued to record. "Well, what's the reason?" "I met a wretched man last time on a blind date. Actually, he looked okay. Although I can't remember his face, he still looks like a human being in his clothes, but who knows, so he took advantage of me to go to the bathroom. Kung Fu, he actually put medicine in my drink." Dr. Zhang was slightly stunned, then raised his head and asked, "Is nothing wrong?" "Fortunately, a prosecutor friend helped me out." "Prosecutor friend?" "Oh, that's not the point." Zhuang Jie sat up. "The point is that I can't go on a blind date. Even if I forcefully go out to eat with a man, I don't even dare to go to the bathroom, and I don't dare to touch the food bought for me. I'm afraid it won't be clean." The doctor nodded and asked while recording, "Are there any restrictions? Is it limited to alcoholic beverages, or all food?" "I haven't tried it specifically. Anyway, later, there was a blind date, and I didn't dare to leave the table the whole time. In the end, my bladder was so painful that it almost exploded." Zhuang Jie lay back down again, shook her head and sighed, "I will never go on a blind date again. A blind date is a small matter, but a bladder matter is a big one. Dr. Zhang, do you know that the bladder is very important to women? There is a meridian called the bladder meridian, which is the body of a woman. The largest detox channel in the village, to remove toxins for women, beauty and health. How can I wrong my bladder for a blind date? It's not worth it." Dr. Zhang coughed and asked, "So, will this symptom affect your attendance at some banquets? I remember that the nature of your work requires you to attend banquets often." "It's okay. I went to a friend's child's birthday party a few days ago. There is nothing wrong with eating and drinking." Zhuang Jie collapsed on the sofa, looking at the ceiling, "but I know, if I go out to eat alone with a man, I will definitely eat no, who knows if those men will bribe the waiter or the chef to add condiments to my plate." "Jia, your symptoms are more serious than before." Dr. Zhang sighed slightly, and flipped through Zhuang Jia's previous medical records. "Your symptoms are not just heterophobia, but more and more serious. Tend to persecution paranoia. Have you tried to treat it according to the method I said?" "I have." Zhuang Jia said aggrievedly. "You asked me to try to communicate with single men more, so my mother arranged a lot of blind dates for me, and my schedule from Monday to Sunday was full. If I want to go out to play in advance, I have to meet a few more a day, otherwise I won't be able to complete the task. The pen in Dr. Zhang's hand stopped. I didn't think carefully about this matter. According to my prediction, spending more time with single men will definitely have a curative effect on your illness, but I didn't expect you to encounter such a thing, leads to more mistrust of strangers and more serious symptoms. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Hua Liao. Chapter 1275. Hey, forget it. Zhuangjia waved her hand. The main reason is that I am too unlucky. Maybe I have this kind of physique for recruiting gangsters. If you get engaged, your fiancé is a murderer. If you have a blind date, your partner is a hooligan. As she spoke, her voice became deeper and deeper, as if she was deeply regretting her life. I am so young and beautiful, am I destined to be a black man for the rest of my life? Dr. Zhang, do you know that some witches can help people change their luck? Do you think I should ask a witch to help me change it? Dr. Zhang was silent for a while, and said dutifully, Jia, feudal superstition is wrong, and your current thinking will subconsciously suggest to yourself that you have recruited gangsters. If anything happens in the future, they will all be associated with their own physique of recruiting gangsters, and eventually lose their correct and rational judgment. Zhuangjia heed, Dr. Zhang, I don't want to hypnotize myself to recruit gangsters, to attract wealth and peach blossoms, to recruit anything, but the problem is that it doesn't work. At this time, a burst of melodious music rang from Dr. Zhang's cell phone. Sorry, just answer the phone, Dr. Zhang said apologetically to Zhuangjia, and connected the phone. Yes, she made an appointment with me at 7 o'clock last night. Yes, originally I didn't see patients at night, but her situation is quite special. Dr. Zhang patiently explained to the person on the other end of the phone. I waited from 7 o'clock to 8:30, and she didn't come, so I left. Yes, I didn't see her when I left. Surveillance. No, considering the privacy of our clients, our clinic has not installed monitoring. After talking on the phone, Dr. Zhang put the phone aside and said to Zhuangjia, I have recently investigated some cases similar to yours in foreign countries, and I want to use a new treatment. Do you want to try it? Zhuangjia's attention was completely turned to the phone call. Dr. Zhang, who called you? Why did you ask about surveillance? It's Miss Ma's family. They said she didn't come home last night and hadn't been seen all day. They thought Miss Ma came to my place. Oh. Zhuangjia murmured, I've met her a few times before, she seems to have some kind of social disorder. I hope she's okay. Dr. Zhang put away the pen and paper, stood up and said, Jia, let's try a new treatment today. After speaking, he went to the inner room of the consulting room. There is the room where Dr. Zhang rests, and some sundries are usually stored there. Zhuangjia lay quietly on the sofa and waited. After waiting for a long time, Dr. Zhang did not come back. Zhuangjia was bored, looked east and west, and inadvertently saw a lady's bag hanging on a vertical hanger, beige, buckle style. It looked familiar. What? When I met Miss Ma last time, the bag she was carrying seemed to be beige too. But Dr. Zhang said that Ms. Ma had never been here. Then her bag, why is it here? Zhuangjia muttered inwardly. At this time, a strange smell wafted to the tip of the nose, and Zhuangjia turned her head to look, and saw Dr. Zhang walking over with a large pot of hot broth. Zhuangjia was surprised. Dr. Zhang, when did you move the kitchen to the office? Dr. Zhang put the pot full of meat on the table, and stirred it with a long-handled spoon. The smell was stronger. I couldn't tell what kind of smell it was. It was mixed with the smell of meat, and it was sour and fishy. Zhuangjia felt hairy and silently rubbed the goosebumps on her arms. Dr. Zhang said with a smile, foreign countries have always had food therapy for psychological disorders. Of course, my clinic must also keep pace with the times. Come and taste how it tastes. said, handed her a pair of chopsticks. Zhuangjia's face was slightly pale, looking at the pot of broth in front of her. She glanced at the lady's bag on the hanger in a strange way. Zhang, Dr. Zhang, what kind of meat are you stewing? Dr. Zhang's smile is still gentle, taste a sip, then guess. Ah, today's writing is so smooth, so comfortable, not stuck at all, happy. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Hua Liao. Chapter 1276. I recently lost weight and can't eat high-calorie foods. Zhuangjia didn't pick up the chopsticks, her smile stiffened. Dr. Zhang, eat by yourself. I didn't ask you to eat all of it, but I wanted to see how serious your symptoms are. Dr. Zhang held the chopsticks and passed them to her again. Don't you even dare to touch the food here? Worried that I'll go to put medicine in the soup. Zhuangjia shook his head, not daring to look into the soup. Dr. Zhang said, how about this, I'll take 2 bites first, you watch, this will prove that there is no poison in the soup, how about it? No, I really don't have an appetite. Zhuangjia's expression turned ugly. However, as if Dr. Zhang didn't hear it, he copied a piece of meat with bone and skin into the pot, bit it down, chewed it a few times, covered his mouth with a tissue, spit out the bone gracefully, and threw it into the waste basket. It tastes very good, don't you really want to try it? Dr. Zhang said, and took another piece of meat into his mouth. Zhuangjia looked at the oily luster on his lips and felt his stomach twitch slightly, wanting to vomit. Probably because her complexion was too ugly, Dr. Zhang encouraged her again, give it a try, it will be good for you to break through your own psychological barrier. He forced the chopsticks into Zhuangjia's hands, and took a long-handled spoon to stir the pot himself. If you really can't eat meat, try the soup. Dr. Zhang scooped up a spoonful of broth. A pink ball rolled in the metal spoon for 2 weeks, even with fascia, it was an eyeball. Ah! Zhuangjia screamed. Tears welled up almost instantly. The hairs all over her body stood on end, and she rushed out of the door like a madman, as if there was a devil chasing after her. He rushed to the elevator entrance and pressed the down button desperately. But the elevator door never opens. Tears fell down in panic and fear. Dr. Zhang walked out the door and approached her. Jia, you misunderstood. Don't come here. Don't come here. Zhuangjia was about to collapse, she didn't have time to wait for the elevator, she turned around and wanted to escape to the emergency passage. Just then, the elevator doors finally opened. When the man inside saw Zhuangjia, he was slightly taken aback, and immediately reached out to grab her arm. What happened? Zhuangjia turned her head and saw Yu Yang's face, crying like hell. He wants to kill me, she cried and threw herself into Yang's arms, hugging the man tightly, refusing to let go. Yu Yang was thrown back half a step by her, in a daze for a while. He vaguely remembered that a few years ago, she threw herself into his arms like this, but he didn't feel much at that time, but now his heart was beating rapidly. Dr. Zhang came panting, still pinching the greasy eyeball. What a misunderstanding, Jia, I'm helping you with treatment. Zhuangjia couldn't hear the voice, and went straight into Yang's arms in horror. Lock him up. He's a murderer. He's a murderer. Yu Yang frowned and looked at Dr. Zhang suspiciously. Dr. Zhang showed the eyeball to Yu Yang. It's really a misunderstanding. Look, it's made of plastic. Jia's illness hasn't improved for a long time, so I just wanted to see if stress therapy can work. After he finished speaking, he squeezed the eyeball a little harder, indicating that it was made of elastic plastic. Yu Yang looked at the male doctor in front of him for a long time, then patted Zhuangjia's back lightly. It's okay, those eyeballs are fake. With Yu Yang here, Zhuangjia was a little more courageous, poking her head out of the man's arms, her face covered with tears. She looked suspiciously at Dr. Zhang and the eyeball in his hand. Dr. Zhang squeezed the thing again. It was indeed a plastic ball. I really didn't lie to you, I did this for the healing effect. Zhuang Jia stared blankly, thinking that she was so frightened that she almost lost her wits. Shame and anger rushed straight to her head. She cursed in grief and anger, "Are you humming sick? I wrote very smoothly today, so I wrote an extra chapter, haha, happy. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again." Author, Hua Hua Liao. Chapter 1277. Zhuang Jia was furious. I followed Yu Yang downstairs and sat in his car, tears still streaming down my face, and even my fingers were trembling slightly. She was not only angry, but also wronged. Sad. Embarrassing. Anger. Yu Yang handed her a tissue, and Zhuang Jia took it to wipe her tears, and belatedly remembered, how could Yu Yang appear here by such a coincidence? Are you here to investigate? She sniffed and said, if you're busy, go ahead and leave me alone. Yu Yang replied, I'm here to find you. Huh, Zhuang Jia looked up at him in astonishment, and then realized that the makeup on his face was worn out, so he quickly turned away and covered his face with a tissue. How do you know I'm here? She asked in a low voice. I went to your company to look for you, and your assistant said that you came here. Yu Yang said, I don't know the neighborhood very well. I came out of the parking lot and turned around a few times before I found the right place. Zhuang Jia was stunned for a moment, then came to his senses, and said in surprise, you are that Mr. Yu. Yu Yang raised his eyebrows slightly, looked at her, his eyes seemed to say, don't you know my last name is Yu? Zhuang Jia lowered her head in embarrassment. His fingers clenched the tissue, tightly intertwined. Are you free later? Yu Yang asked her, I invite you to dinner. Well, I'm free, Zhuang Jia replied in a low voice. Yu Yang didn't say anything, and drove directly on the road. The car was driving in the traffic flow, neither of them spoke, the car was extremely quiet, except for the occasional honking of cars outside. Zhuang Jia's tears have stopped. She rummaged through her bag, and sneakily took a small mirror to look at her face. Seeing that her eyeliner was a little smudged, she quickly took out a wet towel to wipe it off, and then smeared her face with cosmetics. A fashion circle like her needs makeup every day, and there are always a bunch of cosmetic samples in her bag. After reapplying the eyeliner and putting some powder on his face, Zhuang Jia looked at the makeup in the mirror and breathed a sigh of relief. And I can't help but think, it's good to drive steadily, and it won't affect makeup touch UPS. After straightening her face, Zhuang Jia sat up straight, and unconsciously glanced at Yang's face. Still the same, with a non-human ascetic appearance. Short black hair, pure white shirt, and every fold on the dark gray cashmere coat are so straight and neat, just like him, wise and capable. Yu Yang is very keen, his eyes are still fixed on the front, and he has already noticed that Zhuang Jia is looking at him. What's wrong? He asked. It's okay. Zhuang Jia blushed slightly, and quickly looked away, pretending to admire the scenery outside the car window. Although there is nothing but a car outside, it is still a car. Probably because he couldn't bear the excessive silence in the car, Zhuang Jia tried to chat with him. I haven't contacted for a long time, what have you been up to lately? Handle the case, Yu Yang answered succinctly. Zhuang Jia wanted to bite his tongue. Look at what she asked. What can Yu Yang be busy with? Of course he was busy with the case. But the case involves work, so it is not convenient to ask in detail. It can be seen from this that the conversation she started was really not smart, it was over before it even started. Zhuang Jia scolded herself in her heart. After scolding, he felt frustrated again, and felt that he and Yu Yang were really not suitable. Unexpectedly, Yu Yang Shun chatted with her on the topic. We went to the villages and towns near Qingjiang to assist in the investigation. We stayed in the mountains for a while, and we just came back recently. The prosecutor still needs to enter the mountain. Zhuang Jia was a little surprised. Is there no person in charge? There are people in charge locally, but unsolved cases will be passed up. The superiors will integrate resources and assign people to assist the local prosecutor, Yu Yang said. There have been several incidents of villagers being attacked and killed by raptors, so we will investigate. The mountain understands the situation. That's it? Zhuang Jia seemed to understand. Will they be dealt with after they are caught? Nowadays, the average medium and large raptors seem to belong to the national protected animals. Yu Yang smiled lightly. We didn't go into the mountains to catch birds. Blessed to have each other in this life. Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Hua Liao. Chapter 1278. If it was an ordinary animal wounding incident, there was no need for the prosecutor to get involved. Yu Yanghui was sent to investigate because the district prosecutor suspected that this was a man-made vicious incident, but the investigation has not progressed, so he applied to the city for additional manpower to assist in the investigation. And Yu Yang is the prosecutor who was sent there, which is a bit similar to the meaning of the ancient imperial envoy. However, Yu Yang didn't want to talk about the case, and he didn't want to make the atmosphere too serious, so he changed the subject and asked about Zhuang Jia's recent situation. Zhuang Jia had nothing to do recently. The only thing she could use to talk about was probably the birthday party of the two boys from Mu Zi's family. So Balabala talked about how cute the twins are, how many copies he had, and how long the birthday cake was. Prosecutor Yu Yang, did you know that the longest cake in the world is more than 3,000 meters long? Zhuang Jia sighed. Just call me Yu Yang. Zhuang Jia was stunned. Oh, good. Do you know how many meters the tallest cake in the world is? Yu Yang asked her. Zhuang Jia blinked and replied blankly, I don't know. How many meters? Yu Yang said, I don't know either, you can check. Zhuang Jia was speechless for a while, and resignedly picked up the phone to search for the answer. The tallest cake is 8 meters, 2 tons in weight. It turned out to be 8 meters. Yu Yang nodded clearly. Now I know. What an awkward chat. Why does she actually enjoy such an awkward chat? Zhuang Jia glanced at Yu Yang's side face, silently covered his chest, thinking, it's over, I'm stuck. Yu Yang took Zhuang Jia to a private restaurant with a quiet environment and distinctive decoration. The two arrived earlier, so there were not many customers, and the dishes were served quickly. Zhuang Jia is particularly convinced by Yang's point. Obviously she was born and raised in Xinjiang, why can't she find a decent restaurant? How did you find this place? She asked curiously. Recommended by a friend. Yu Yang shook his head lightly. I spend a lot of time alone, and I don't usually have any entertainment hobbies, so whenever I have free time, I will drive and spend an hour or two looking for a place to eat. Occasionally, I will chat with the boss, which is very interesting. Yu Yang poured her a glass of wine. Try the fruit wine here, it's brewed by the proprietress herself, it won't get you drunk, it's very suitable for girls to drink. Picking up the glass of wine, Zhuang Jia asked out of nowhere, are you familiar with the proprietress? I regret after asking. She gritted her teeth secretly, feeling as if she had exposed something. Yu Yang was taken aback for a moment, then smiled lightly, as if joking, and said, I'm more familiar with you. Zhuang Jia's face was already flushed. She drank a few sips of wine, fanned the wind with her hands pretending to be nonchalant, and said, this wine is quite strong, you should try it too. Yu Yang said with a smile, I don't drink, I will drive later. He usually has no expression, even when he smiles, it is shallow and faint, giving people a sense of indifference and restraint. But this sense of restraint, cold and clear, with sharp eyebrows, is terribly attractive. Zhuangjia's mouth was dry. She lowered her eyes, in order to prevent her heart from beating so fast that she would die. She lowered her head as much as possible and did not look directly at him. Unconsciously took a few more sips of wine. The dishes were served one after another, and the atmosphere was not bad. Yu Yang said, "I'm actually not a native of Xinjiang. My hometown is in Huxian County. My parents often brew some fruit wine and pickle some side dishes. My brothers and sisters are all good cooks. The third brother has already become the chef. Now think about it, I have had a good taste since I was a child, I have a tongue, but I have not achieved much in the kung fu on the stove.